Joining me live is Dr. Grant Mullen, live via telephone. Dr. Grant, once again, welcome to It's Your Call.
Hi, Rob. Great to be back.
Glad to have you back with us, Doctor. Now, we're going to be talking about two issues in this program. One deals with our identity. Later on, we're going to be talking about one that deals with our purpose. But first of all, dealing with identity. Dr. Grant, I'm looking for your opinion because we're going to be simply throwing the lines open, dealing with this topic or subject of the risk of being yourself. And the question is this: why is it that we all wear masks at the risk of letting people know who we really are? In other words, why do we drive ourselves and struggle so much with creating some kind of an image, hoping that people will really like us?
Yeah, this is a huge problem, and it's almost universal. And the reason is that down deep inside, a very high percentage of us feel like losers. And so that we feel defective, insecure, insignificant, unintelligent, not worth loving. And Satan loves this. And so he'll take any circumstance in our lives that take place, things that might happen, words that people speak to us, particularly when we're kids, things happen in school or at home, and he'll magnify them so that it damages our self-esteem, our self-image, our sense of value. And so he wants to beat everyone down into worthlessness so that we lose our self-image, self-esteem. And then that is so painful, it disrupts all of our relationships, including our relationship with God. And then when humans are in emotional pain, they'll turn to anything to try to help. And one of the most common things that we turn to help with this particular problem is we create an image, and we project an image. And in fact, this has become totally socially acceptable because we have an expression that says, clothes make the man. Well, that expression, in fact, is just saying what your image is more important than who you are.
I see. So what you're saying,
a tremendous amount of effort, time, and money into maintaining an image.
Okay, so it's all about image, but you were saying that this actually comes from Satan?
Oh, Satan magnifies it. You see, we all live in a fallen world, and so bad things happen to us, people say hurtful things to us. But Satan then wants to really hit that nail and magnify it so we then believe it. So if someone says something demeaning to us, especially when we're young, instead of just saying, well, that's not true, I'm not going to believe that, he says, but that really is true. You really are a loser. You really are incompetent, and no one really likes you.
Wow.
He wants to hit that nail so it becomes disabling and a real injury to our personality. So then we have to create a mask to hide it.
Okay, so in creating that mask, I put that mask over my face, and I'm actually hiding the true self, who I really am, because of words or circumstances that have affected me as a child or growing up as a child, correct?
To make you ashamed of who you really are, so you don't want anyone to really see who you are, because then they'll reject you because you're just a loser, and so you create a mask of acceptability, that people will like. The clothes you wear, the words you speak, the career you pick, the people you associate with. It's to create an image.
Now, but doctor, isn't that really, I'm listening to you talk, isn't that a lot of work for us to do?
Well, and not only that, it's very expensive because you have to have the latest car, the latest computer, the latest clothes. It is a continuous 24-hour preoccupation to maintain your mask and make sure that no one sees behind it. So, yeah, this absorbs a lot of people's entire life, is maintaining this image because they don't want anyone to see how defective they really think they are.
So your perspective of it, it's fear and shame that causes this.
Yes, that's right, and which then leads to low self-esteem, and then people who feel this way are always comparing themselves to others, and they always then end up feeling like losers because they only compare themselves to media figures or superstars. I
see. Now, this is an opinionated question, but from a population perspective, what percentage of the population of us do this?
Oh, probably 90.
90%?
Yeah, because most people feel defective in some way. And, even the superstars who we think, oh, if I could only be like them, they feel defective in some other way.
Okay.
So it's everyone, because we live in a fallen world and we were raised by fallen people and we live with fallen people, there's just so many ways that we can be hurt, and our self-esteem, self-image has been damaged in some way. And Satan just loves it because he just loves to beat us down into a pulp.
Okay, so now just kind of help us a bit. So we're in that state. 90% of us are like that. How do we begin to lift ourselves out of that pit, that bondage, the fear, the shame? I mean, what are some steps that we can take to begin to get ourselves back to where we should be?
Well, as Christians, we have the most important keys. Non-Christians are at a real disadvantage here because the non-Christians just say, well, I really am a loser. Look at all these awful things that have happened to me and look at my marks at school or something. But as Christians, we have another objective source of evaluation of our worth, and that's Jesus. So our true self is how Jesus sees us. It's the value that Jesus has put upon us. So that's our true self. You see, this whole false self is all built on lies. Lies that we believe about ourselves because things that people have said to us and circumstances, so then we conclude that we're losers. So we believe all these lies. But if we look at ourselves the way Jesus does, he thinks we're amazing. He gave his life for us. He thinks we have potential. He thinks we're brilliant, that we have gifts and talents that he wants to develop in us. So he wants to shine out through us because he's inside us. So if we put on a mask, we block his face. And we don't want to do that because he wants to shine out right through us.
Okay.
So that's our true self, is how Jesus sees us.
How Jesus sees us. Now, how do we actually see how Jesus sees us?
Well, the Bible tells us how Jesus sees us. So he's given us worth. He gave his life for us, and he's made us righteous. I mean, we are his pearl of great price. So the Bible describes how God sees his kids and the price he paid for us. But our struggle is, how do you undo all the lies that you've believed for so long? And so that's a bigger issue, and so some people need to see a counselor about that and to keep reminding themselves how Jesus sees them.
Okay, so your opinion then is how people recognize a true self is through Christ.
Yes,
finding our identity in Christ and looking at the Scriptures, seeing what the Scriptures teach and what they reveal of how God sees us.
Yes, because Jesus knows us better than we know ourselves. And if he thinks we're fantastic, then I would say that's where I'd put my money.
Well, Dr. Grant, thank you so much. The risk of being yourself. We're opening up the phone lines. The number to call is 1-866-956-5555. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.